Okay, so Nicodemus makes a statement to Jesus. Um, Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? And Jesus makes an interesting observation. He says, You're a ruler of the Jews and you don't know these things. Why don't you know these things? And the same thing can be said today about a lot of rulers of Christians and Jews and every other religion. They should know this stuff because it's basic. I mean, it's the beginning of righteousness, and but the problem is what we call tradition. There are so many people that are so steeped in tradition that they fail to get to know the God that gives them life. Okay? And so they don't know it because they don't know the one that's giving the information. And so but anyway, so you have to know the Lord. You have to know the Lord to know the truth about all these things. Okay? All my life has been dedicated to getting to know the Lord. Okay? And I feel that I've been fairly successful. I mean, I know what this stuff means. I have understanding of this stuff. But anyway, so then let's go to verses 15 and 16, talking about that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Okay, now the first point of these verses here is the idea of shall not perish. Okay, now what does it mean to perish? Okay, now you take like perishable foods. What happens to perishable foods? They go rotten, they go bad, and then they go back into the ground. Okay, they perish. They're no longer good. They perish. Perishing, something that has already been killed wastes away into the dust and perishes. All right. So, if you don't want to perish, you've got to stay alive. Okay, the minute you die, you start to perish. Okay, it's just like picking fruit. The minute it's off the tree and it's not living anymore, it starts to perish. You got to eat it up before it does perish, or it's of no value to you whatsoever. But still, the idea of perishing is that it goes bad and rots and turns into dust. Okay? But whosoever believes in Jesus shall not perish, shall not grow old and completely die and go into the dust, but have eternal life. And I will talk about that point a little bit later. The second point is about that Jesus was not sent into the world to condemn the world, but that through him the world might be saved. God does not condemn anybody. And you got to get that straight. God does not send anybody to hell. God does not force anybody into heaven. He does not force anybody into hell. He does not force anybody to live. He does not force anybody to die. If you live or die, go to heaven or hell is your choice. Jesus did not come into the world to condemn the world. He's not what he's here for. People are waiting for the Messiah to come to damn the world and send them all to hell. Well, no, that's not what he came for. That's not what he comes for. That's not what the mission of the Messiah is all about. He's here to try to help people. So if there is condemnation in the world, where does the condemnation come from? The condemnation comes from our own actions, from our own choices. Okay? If the commandment says, do not kill, and you go out and kill somebody, you're not damned by God because you killed another individual. You damned yourself because you killed another individual. You know, you stick your hand in the fire and you get burned. God did not damn you to be burned. You damned yourself to be burned by sticking your hand in the fire. It's all that whole idea, that whole concept of free agency and receiving according to your own free will and choice. Jesus didn't come to damn us. He came to save us. He came to tell us, keep your hand out of the fire. Don't kill people. Don't do bad things to other people. Worship the true and living God. Get to know the truth. You see, he came to save us. Look, here's the truth. Know the truth. The truth will set you free, and we'll talk about that later. Here's the truth. Know the truth, and you'll have eternal life. Okay? It's your choice. Every day of your life, you make choices to either damn yourself or to save yourself. If you choose to do good things, if you choose to preserve your life, you'll preserve your life. If you choose that you don't want to preserve your life and you want to do bad things, you want to do things that destroy you, well, that's your choice. And Jesus didn't come to keep us from doing any of those things one way or another. What he came to do is to teach us the truth so that we could make a choice, a free will choice, to follow him and to do good things in the world. See? Because that's how he saves us, by our choice. Do you want to be saved? Choose to be saved. And after you choose to be saved, then do saving things. Like one of the things that I just recently started doing was making distilled water. There are contaminants in our water, and it's either distilled water or whatever. So I decided to make my own distilled water to make sure that I'm getting distilled water that's really distilled water without any additives. Okay, but that's just an idea. It's just a simple thing. A lot of things we don't have control of. We don't have control of air purity. We don't have control of what's in your food and so on. But you eat the best kinds of foods. You try to get the best air to breathe. Okay, things like that that help a lot in obtaining eternal life. Doing living things, it's a choice. Okay, so then Jesus goes on, he said, he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already. Not because Jesus condemned him, but because his own actions have condemned him. Because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, and neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. Okay. See, and that's the whole point. People that are habitually evil, they don't want to know about good things, because they don't want to be reproved, or they don't want to be punished, but they can't avoid the punishment that they're bringing upon themselves. It's just like, and it's kind of a interesting situation. It's like, a parent that demands that you tell them the truth so that you can beat them. Well, God isn't going to beat you for telling the truth. Okay, and you got to know that God is there to save you. He's not a bad parent that's going to say, "Well, tell me the truth so I can beat the hell out of you." God isn't like that. Okay, the truth is so that He can save you, not damn you. Okay, you get